This is the Dave and Dale Music Show, and we're glad you're watching. We hope you'll stay through the whole thing. So our show, it's something that, if it continues, will evolve, and we probably don't know exactly in the ways it will change. But one of the things we're thinking it will be emphasizing in this sort of as a key aspect will be songwriting. And then we'll hopefully talk about a whole range of other kind of music related things. We're hoping to interview other musicians and songwriters. But Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Dale, I don't know about you, but I'm in it for the money.
Well, I guess we should get that out there right up the front here.
Because I think that what we have to offer is probably worth quite a bit.
Absolutely. And that kind of stuff doesn't come cheap.
No. It's anyway, Dale. I want us to tell everyone a little bit about ourselves.
Okay.
Just because we've had a long history together.
Yes, we have.
And I think that we need to start from the beginning briefly.
Okay.
Because it just gives a little perspective to where we're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think the idea we had was we just want to connect with some singer-songwriters out there.
Yep.
And whoever else might be interested. Dale and I have spent the majority of our lives writing songs. I mean, we probably each got, I don't know, I've got maybe 100 songs, maybe 3 good ones. And but the point is well, Dale, let's just start back to when we met. Back in when did we meet, Dale?
We met in the fall of 1978.
Yeah.
We met at, I think, if I remember correctly, I remember it vaguely, we met in the food line of a college we were going to. Mm-hmm. Both were at the same college, and we found out we were musicians and guitar players, and that eventually led to lots of fun doing music.
Mm-hmm. Just on that point, if I can interject there, when I met Dale, he was a bit of a strange dude.
Luckily, I'm not strange now.
And I quickly found out that he was a guitar player, but the weird thing was he didn't have his guitar with him, which I thought was kind of strange.
That is strange. No, I concur. That was strange. I don't even know what's going through my mind.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but you had just spent like a few months just intensely. Like, was that your first experience with the guitar? Was this trip that you had that?
You mean at the cabin?
At the cabin, yeah.
Well, no. I picked up the guitar at 17. I decided to learn at 17. I'd always loved music, and I had always loved songs and the sound of the guitar, and I remember thinking, man, I'm 17. It's kind of old. And then I remember hearing somewhere that Eric Clapton started at 17. I thought, well, maybe it's not too late for me.
Right.
So that was 17. So I met Dave when I was 19, so a bit of time had gone by, but I was quite intense about it, and tried my best to learn, without a teacher. And so I met Dave, in the fall of '78 when I was 19, and for some inexplicable reason I didn't bring my guitar. I don't even recall why.
But you did bring it down.
I brought it down for the winter semester.
And then we started playing together with our buddy Bill on drums, and I don't know who else was playing.
Different guys. There's a small community of musicians there, and we have lots of fun jamming, and it's even to this day I have a couple songs. Interestingly, one in particular, but a couple that come to mind.
Yeah.
That are songs of mine that are favorite to play. That really, at least in my mind, reflect some of the kind of jamming we used to do at that time, and I get a kind of a little, when I think of that, I get a kind of a little good feeling about that, I guess.
Yeah, you were in a band called The Non, which
Yeah.
with you and your brother and,
Yes.
and Bill and
Yeah.
was there a bass player?
Rod.
Rod Gertz,
Rod
Rod
was the
Gertz,
piano,
right,
was
yeah.
the bass player. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were some cool.
If you're
tunes
watching, Rod, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully,
there,
we can talk.
I think there was some really great songs from that.
There were some. They were hugely quirky, for sure.
But they were cool.
And,
You had
out there, big time.
song with a bar of 5 in it.
There was
What
some
was that
really
called?
weird.
$10.
$10.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some.
And by the way, maybe we can get to play one of those songs down the road. One of the songs that Dale's brother Lee wrote the lyrics for. Lee is an incredible lyric writer. He's written a couple of books actually too.
And
And
right.
but I really enjoy those songs.
Yeah, he's written some really cool lyrics, and we'll undoubtedly, if this persists, we'll undoubtedly cover some of those songs that we wrote
For
the
sure,
lyric for.
yeah. Great.
Is there anything else we want to say by way of introduction, Dave?
I think that's good enough for now.
Yeah, we're mainly just singer-songwriters. We like playing guitar, we like singing, and
and what
we
we're trying to
record
do
our
is
songs. And
we're not trying to tell people how to write songs, I don't think, although we have ideas on that. But I think that what we want to do is get the people out there that are kind of like us, that have been writing songs and just want to connect and talk about different aspects of things. Like, for example, Dale has turned me on to a guy by the name of Rick Beato. YouTube. I mean, I've been getting into watching YouTube a lot more these days with music related things. And he's got if anyone's interested, he's got a segment where he breaks down songs.
Yeah, it's
and
cool.
It's called what's it called?
What makes a song great?
What makes a song great? It's incredible stuff. If you get nothing else from this, check out Rick Beato's What Makes Songs Great, and I found it very interesting.
Yeah.
And anyway, Dale, you got a song for us today.
Yes, I do. One of the things where we were thinking we would do is each week we'll take turns singing one song, and then we'll talk a little bit about the song and some of the things that we think maybe could potentially be something someone could learn from. We don't. Dave was sort of implying we don't consider ourselves authorities on songwriting, but we do have some ideas and some opinions, and we'll try to share those with you. And this first song is called "Was It Something I Said," and it's just a little boogie number. And I'll just turn this on here.
So Dale, tell us a bit about that tune. How'd you write it? When did you write it?
I wrote it in the 90s sometime. I'm thinking, I'm not sure exactly, mid 90s. And I was working in a small office, and one day I walked in the office and there was another person there, and it was like a chill in the room. I just glibly said, "Hey, well, was it something I said?" And it turned out there was something I had said that didn't go over well. And but anyways, it led. I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. I mean, it was even at that time was I think a fairly common phrase. But I thought, I should write a fun little song about that. And so that's what I attempted to do.
Yeah, I like that song. It's a great song live. It's a lot of fun to play. So, in terms of the actual music, I know you you tend to write lyrics before you write music, and this song probably is the same case.
I think that's true. I mean, I actually don't recall whether I had written the whole lyric out before or not. But I know that I started with the chorus, words and I mean, I think the words came pretty quickly. It's not too deep. I started with the chorus. I remember that, which is fairly standard for me. If it's a chorus song, I mean, that's another discussion and what kind of song it is, and I could talk about that another time maybe. But if it's a song that seems like it wants to have a chorus, then I'll start with the chorus.
No, you've got in this tune you've got verse, chorus, and then you've got a bridge. Talk about the bridge a little bit. And where that came from.
I wrote the chorus first, so then I worked backwards from there. So then I did the verse, and then I did a bridge, and it just felt like it could use a little bridge, and then after I did the bridge, one of the things I tend to think about is at least give consideration to, is there some kind of riff or something that I could give to the intro, something just to, if and it's not always needed and it's not always even appropriate, but a lot of times there's a place for some kind of maybe unique, semi-unique, quasi-unique little thing you can do in the intro. So that would be the thing I did last.
Yeah, especially with the blues, you want something to identify the tune a little bit.
And when I wrote the song, I actually had written it in a really, really straight time, which is okay. There's nothing wrong. Got nothing wrong and nothing against that kind of a feel. But I just thought fairly quickly after I wrote it that it could benefit from more of a shuffle feel.
Yeah.
That sort of feel.
More of a danceable kind of deal.
I think, it feels better for me anyways, and so then that sort of stuck. Any other things you're wondering about it, Dave? Or?
I like the song.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
it's always fun to play.
Oh, yeah, and it's a dead easy song, and sometimes that's nice to have a dead easy song that you don't have to work too hard. Some songs, just by the nature of the chords or whatever, timing maybe. They're more work. You have to apply more effort. This one, I don't have to think too hard, and I play it live. Invariably, I see toes tapping.
Yeah.
It's just and it's not that it's such a great song. I think it's an okay song, but it's just that big part of it. People respond to boogie woogie.
Right.
People just respond to that sort of stuff.
And I like the lyrics in that it's not your typical. It's coming from a little bit of different slant there. There's just something I said. That's a great chorus. Just lyrically, I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I had I think as I indicated earlier, I had the idea to talk. Someone I was working with. It wasn't a romance related thing, but when I was writing the song, I just turned it into a funny kind of love song.
Yeah, no, it's a neat little twist.
So I could talk a little bit about just structure. There's not much, not to overstate it. There's not that much structure to talk about, but the verse is really just a blues sort of pattern, and then the chorus. It doesn't quite. It's a 1-4-5, but it goes 1-4-5, and it's a tiny bit different.
So Dale, let me just interject for 1 sec, or interrupt. Sorry. When you say, we're talking to people who might not understand what you mean by 1-4-5.
Oh, good point. Okay.
I mean,
sure. So
probably most viewers would know what that is, but some might not.
Yeah. So basically, for viewers that are new to writing songs,
a number system there's
a number system that represents that's a commonly used, and it's really a way that musicians talk. They'll say go to the 1 or go to the 4, go to the 5. That means you're basically going to the chord that's on what degree that so the 1 is the first degree of that scale, the 4 is the 4th degree of that scale, 5 is the 5th degree of that scale.
So the idea being you can play the song in any key and tell someone that's
playing,
and
as soon as they know the key,
they'll know where that chord
you don't have to say I'm going to a D minor.
Yeah.
They just know that a D minor is the 2 of C.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that's a good thing to know. You can find that anywhere on YouTube, stuff about the number system, but it's good to get comfortable thinking in those terms, because that's how
it's an easy way to communicate.
The way the musicians tend to talk. So it'd be good for you to think about that. And speaking of numbers, I mean, this is not a super elevated or anything, but there's one useful chord in there in that song. I mean, I guess they're all useful in different ways, but there's one useful, just barely unique or different chord that happens in that song. It's in the bridge, and it goes to a dominant 2 chord. So we're in the key of E. So the 2 of E would be naturally F sharp minor. But for one thing, we're in a blues, and that's not going to happen too often in a blues.
Mm-hmm.
But a dominant 2 is a very common type of chord that happens in music, and it's just got a little more bite, and it pushes right nicely into the 5 chord.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just it's instead of just going to like say for in this case I could have gone just to the 5 chord and stayed there for a couple bars. I went first of all for a bar or whatever, I can't remember how many bars, but it's 1 bar I think, to the F sharp 7 and then to the B, and it gives a little tiny bit of spiciness.
Right.
Not much, but tiny bit.
Yeah. Great.
Anything else we want to say about it? So why don't we talk then? So backing vocals. So one of the things that it's one of the things that can really.
No, when you had the song recorded, you had female backing vocals on it.
Actually,
no?
Actually, you were on it too, Dave. When I did believe it or not, you may not recall that, but I brought you in for that song. I don't know if it was another one as well, but I brought you in and another female singer, Joy, wonderful singer. Hi, Joy, if you're watching. I've used her in a bunch of projects. Anyways, and what I was wanting to get was those sort of slightly tight harmonies that you hear in the early 40s or the 40s kind of music, or just and so I had them to do those clustery kind of dominant type
dissonant sounds.
Yeah, and it just has a little bit of a spiciness to it. So obviously we just have Dave here. So Dave was doing some cool stuff. So on the E, he was going to the 7, and then to the A, he was going to the 3rd, which is a half step down from the other note, and then the B up to the 3rd of that. And just, those are thirds particularly, and even 7s. They carry a lot of information, and they pack a lot of punch for their one note.
Get your money's worth.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So Dave was doing that in the chorus, and it was a way. It's a good way of getting the most out of one voice. Dave, why don't we talk about soloing on a song like this? Because a lot of I think going forward, my guess is there'll be a lot of one guy will be doing a little solo while the other guy's singing the song. So in this song,
Yeah.
what was going on in your mind
Well,
when you were doing that?
I was thinking about what I was going to have for dinner.
Yeah.
Uh, actually, Dale and I have slightly, well, probably more than slightly different approaches to
Lots of
soloing.
things.
Lots of things, and soloing one of them.
Yeah.
For me,
probably.
and I don't think I'm unique in guitar players. I think that this is fairly common. Is that I grew up playing the blues and soloing, and just I learned
Rock stuff.
Learn the rock cliches, if you want to call them that. And anyway, so on a tune like this, I'd be playing like a pentatonic scale, I guess, but I don't think in terms of that.
Yeah.
I just find something that works, and try to play percussively if I can. In other words, there's just two of us playing, so I want to play something that will add some color.
Yeah.
And hopefully not get in the way of the song. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been guilty of overplaying, and when in doubt, don't play anything. Is probably a good rule of thumb. And definitely don't solo over somebody's singing.
Yeah.
You can play something that's complementary, that's not really, if this is your voice and this is my guitar playing, this has got to be here, and this the listener doesn't want to hear, doesn't want to be confused as to
what's the prominent thing,
where am I supposed to be focusing my attention.
Yes, exactly.
And so I just try to play something that might add a little bit of like a drummer might play a fill or something.
Yeah.
So just to add a little spice.
Yeah.
Here and there, and
I mean, I think Dave. I mean, he's played it for a lot of years, and so I think intuitively you just play some cool little notes.
Yeah, you kind of.
It's not. It doesn't have a feeling of pentatonic. Beginner pentatonic kind of approach.
No.
You're playing like an actual musician, I think, and sort of thinking in terms of little fills that.
Yeah,
have a musicality to them.
Maybe when you're in doubt, I try to key off the melody a bit, and try to do that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a great phrase by a jazz musician many years ago, and the phrase was, "If you don't hear it, don't play it." And I think a lot of musicians, beginning musicians maybe, just play, and they're letting their fingers lead them somewhere, and that's not necessarily that musical. It's better to kind of hear what you want to play, or imagine where you're trying to go. Hit the note your brain is thinking of.
Yeah,
if you can.
It's interesting because Medela has got me on to this guy named Rick Beato, who has a great YouTube channel, and talks a lot about theory, and has great players, guitar players. It's mainly geared to guitar players. And he just had an interview recently that I watched with Peter Frampton. Did you see that?
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Cool,
and it was really cool. And and it was kind of reassuring to me because obviously Rick Beato was a huge fan of Peter Frampton.
Sure, he was. You could tell.
And you could tell he was. It was like his, one of his heroes growing up.
For sure.
And but the interesting for me was. He's talking to Peter Frampton, and it's obvious fairly early in the interview that Peter doesn't know all about the modes and all this kind of thing. And I thought that was reassuring to me because Peter.
And he's a very musical guy. He did great solos.
Oh yeah,
those songs that Peter Frampton Comes Alive, my word.
Unbelievable stuff.
What a great album.
And but it was reassuring to me that you don't need necessarily, although it's a bit of a cop out to not learn as much as you can, but you don't have to know all about the modes and the scales and this and that to play something that will grab somebody.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and
I'm trying to learn more about that all the time. But,
sure. Yeah. So I think that covers that pretty good, Dave.
Yeah.
Basically, I think Dave is basically relying on his ear and his life of experience of playing, and it shows up as musicality, and that's cool. You know, he might not know why he's doing what he's doing, or maybe even what note he's playing.
But Dale, do any of us know why we're doing what we're doing?
This is a big question.
Something for the next episode.
Maybe.
Why are we doing what are we doing?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Exactly. We're not sure what we're doing, and that's probably evident. Anything else, Dave? Before
I think we don't want to bore people.
No. We want to keep,
so we're gonna
keep them briefish.
Keep it brief for now, and hopefully, the idea is that we want to get people involved, asking questions. Hopefully, we'll have some guests.
Yeah.
Coming up that we can.
Ask some questions. Yeah, find out how their mind works and their experiences, etc. Yeah, we're hoping to do that. That'll be fun for us for sure. Hopefully, it'll be fun for the viewer. One of the things we wanted to say is that we really welcome your comments or your questions. Tell us what your experience is. If you disagree with something we say it. You know, fair enough. We certainly don't claim to, as we've I think already indicated, don't claim to be authorities. We just know what we do and how some of our thoughts are in the various issues. But we welcome your comments, and hopefully we will be able to respond to some of them. And anything else before I make one last remark, Dave?
I think that's good. Dave.
Okay. The last remark is not that music related, but just want to encourage you to please consider giving to your local food bank or to an agency that helps the needy. Again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll tune in to see another one of our shows. Take care.